Look at this. I have actual updates. You think I've been sitting on my ass this whole time not doing anything? I told you guys I've been hoarding parts. This is going to be an update, a pretty quick update. I don't even have the truck in here right now. I've been swamped at work. So I have a new rear end. This is a fabricated Ford 9-inch housing from Quick Performance. It has a strange HD Pro aluminum center section. It's got 370 motive gears, 35 spline Mosier axles with a 35 spline spool. Bring it to the back side. It's got a nice fill plug on it. It's got the plate for the jack, so it makes it easy to jack up, and it's got a nice drain plug right in the bottom. And you can see here, I have the Mosier axles. I have the 5/8 studs with drilled and slotted rotors with GM disc brakes. That's a Mosier kit. It's got braided hoses. I still got to make the brackets for the clamps and all that for the hoses. The shock mount brackets, those are just setting on there. They're not welded to it or anything. You can see it moves. That was just to get an idea. Those are going to have to move in a couple inches, so because that way they can set inside the frame. On the stock trucks, the passenger side comes up like here at an angle, and the driver's side is on the back side at an angle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mount both shocks perfectly vertical in front of the axle tubes. And what that does is it helps get the truck to settle down right after the launch, and it makes shock tuning a little bit easier. I'm going to have double adjustable Viking shocks. So the reason I don't have those brackets welded on yet, you can see this tube back here. That tube is a piece of DOM tubing that's going to become the upper cross member for the upper shock mounts. So I have to wait till I get the rear end in the truck and get the weight on the truck so it sets back down to normal ride height, so I can mark where to put the cross member. And once I get the cross member in, I can measure how long I need my shocks to be, and I can get my shocks ordered. So see these back here, they're still partially wrapped up. Those, I don't know if you can see them or not, damn motorcycles going by. Those are Calvert Racing split mono leaf springs. Let me see if I can tilt it over here so you can see it at least. Oop, there's two of them there. So those are going in. And another box from Calvert Racing. My Caltrax. These are the drag profile. These are excellent traction bars. Actually, probably the best traction bar setup out there. So a lot of guys make their own. I'm lazy. I just decided to buy them. And last but not least, my new wheels. So I went with the 5x4.5 bolt pattern instead of the oddball 6 lug these trucks came with. So you can see these are Jegs SSR mag wheels. And what I had to do, as they come, they're designed to work with your typical Acorn lug nut. So they have a conical seat. I don't know how well I can get down in there. A conical seat that the lug nut typically sets on. Well, since I have the 5/8 studs, I can't use those. I can't use typical lug nuts. So the stud kit for the axles comes with these spacers. Well, it actually comes with two different versions. These are like 1 1/8 inch long, and it's got 1/2 inch long or 5/8 long versions. And what these do is, look, see down in that hole, see that flat face in there? These slide in there and they set on that flat face. So once you go to tighten the wheel down, let me grab a lug nut. Once you go to tighten the wheel down, you're compressing the spacer against that flat wheel face, so it clamps the wheel in between the spacer and the axle face. And you're using the tension on the studs instead of relying on the friction in the conical seat of the lug nut. So you get better torque application across the face of the wheel and a lot more clamping force, and especially a lot more strength with the bigger studs. So let me see here, I'll put it on. Let me get my camera set up. Put the wheel on. It is a tight fit. What I had to do is I had to use 11/16 drill bit to drill the stud holes out, making sure I was centered as possible. Because this actually uses the studs to center the wheel instead of, it's not hub centric. A hub centric wheel relies on the raised center of the axle to center the axle perfectly in line, the wheel perfectly in line with the axle. So this uses the studs. You can see these spacers. Now these spacers, they come oversized. They were actually almost 1/8 of an inch larger diameter than they are now. I had, luckily I got an uncle who owns a machine shop, so he just turned them down on a lathe real quick for me. They slide right in. There you go. Now, one important thing with these, I've been asked this a couple times since I posted pictures online, is once that spacer goes in, it sets a few thousandths of an inch proud of the surface of the wheel. That means it sticks out from the face of the wheel. And the reason you want that is so when this lug nut tightens down, you can see here, I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but there's actually a space, about a 1/16 of an inch of space between the back face of the lug nut and the face of the wheel. So all the torque is being applied to the spacer and it's not being applied to the face of the wheel. That's what you want. You don't want that spacer setting below or equal to the surface of the wheel, because then you're not going to get the proper clamping load. All the clamping load is going to be on the face of the wheel and you won't get it on the spacer against that flat seat. So, and you can see right there, the brake's clear. I think that is going to look really good on the truck. And we'll come back here. You can see it is a tight fit, but I think it'll work. So, let's see here. I have to make the brackets. I'm going to weld some nuts to the top of the axle tubes for the cushion clamps to hold the brackets. And then I'm going to replace this T with a bulkhead T, so it'll be up like this, and I'll just weld the bracket to the top of the axle tube. Here's your axle tube vent. You always want to make sure you have a vent with a line on it, because these will build up pressure and it will blow lube out of there. I'm going to break it in on 80W90 Lucas conventional, and then after it's broken in, it's gone 5 heat cycles, I'm going to drain all that out and I'm going to fill it with Royal Purple synthetic 8090 and it'll be good to go. So I still have to get the rear end in the truck. I got to put the leaf springs in the truck and the cow tracks in the truck, get all that bolted in, and then I'm going to take the truck and put it on my other drive-on hoist so it's flat, because the floor in here has got kind of an angle so water drains, so I can't do it back here. So I'm going to take it up front, put it on the drive-on hoist, let it set at right height with all the weight in it, typical weight, and then we'll get the shock cross member in and we'll get the shock mounts burned in. I also putting a anti-roll bar on the truck. I'm going to use the Rhodes, I think it's like a Pro Sportsman kit. It's a really nice weld up kit, and that will set behind, that'll have its own cross member, DOM cross member behind the axle. So the bars will be coming forward and they'll end right at the back of the axle tubes. So the brackets will be like welded down to here somewhere. So it'll have an anti-roll bar kit on it also. And then I need to add brackets because next to both the shocks, I'm gonna have a little bracket on each side. I'm putting linear shock sensors, travel sensors on it. I'm gonna do the same thing on the front. So in my Mega Squirt, I'll be able to data log suspension travel. So I can tell, I'll be able to tell how hard it's hitting the shocks, rebounding, compressing, and all that. So it'll just give me more tuning data. You can see the brakes right there. So overall, I'm pretty happy. I actually ordered a different Strange, a little bit cheaper Strange center section, but they called me and we discussed it for the power that I'm going to be making and in the future, and the weight of the truck. Like right now, the truck's probably about 3,400 pounds. I want to get it down to about 3, but right now we decided it was better to step up to a what they call a bolt through. You can see these bolt nuts. What it does is the caps for the bearings in the back, the bolts actually go all the way through and they bolt to those, versus a traditional center section where they just bolt into the center section, because it at so much weight and at so much horsepower, it'll actually start pulling those bolts. It wants to pull those bolts out of the housing as the torque wants to rip the rear end gear out of the center chunk. So yeah, you can see that's not welded on, but that's where I'm at right now. Still no intake. I don't know, I keep getting told won't be long, won't be long, won't be long. I don't know, I'm like almost 6 months into this thing now, so I'm patiently waiting on that. I almost bought a Holly High Ram, but I'm still holding out, so maybe if it doesn't show up in another week or two, I'll do that. But trying to be patient, but it's never been one of my strong suits, especially since I've been, waiting for so long to hear this damn thing run. And I know all you guys are waiting to see this thing run and at least make a test hit. That's my goal this year. My goal is to make a test hit, like a legit test hit, and then I want to take it up to Woodward in August for the Dream Cruise. So I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, be able to do it or not, but I'm going to try my best. And that is my update for now. Hopefully I'll have an update on this intake as soon as it gets here. I'll start making videos of that. I got some plans and some changes that'll be coming along with that for more power. So thanks for watching.